Yep, go away, work.
This is Friday Night Party Line. Oh, wait, no, I started wrong. Shit.
Well, it's live. You can't undo it now.
It's live. All right. Welcome to Friday Night Party Line for June 10th, 2016. I'm your happy host, Victor Frost, and tonight we're going to make a certain Scott Johnson very happy because it's going to be all about politics. Here on the show tonight is, of course, Scott Johnson. Hey, ScoJo.
Hey. So,
how you doing, man?
You really should have made him
good.
last today.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, you bitched enough about it.
How
you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty much everything I predicted has come true. You can't really beat that. No.
Huh?
Ease down there, mate.
Yeah. We also have Churba over here. Hey, Chirps.
Hi. I'm the only one with the lower third.
You are, because apparently you are the only one lower third for right now.
I'm normally the only one it doesn't work for. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe it just works
The
in
world's turned
Australia.
upside down. We have George. Hey, George.
Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
Salutations.
And greetings and salutations, my friend. And of course, there's me. So let's get this started. ScoJo, is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Well, I heard that George saw a lot of European cars when he was in Europe.
Oh, man. Oh, man, I saw so many cars. Oh, also, I got an iPhone, and it's new and scary, and I don't understand it.
Which
How
one did you get?
could you, George?
Huh?
Which one did you get?
I got a SE.
Always.
It is very tiny.
A fine choice, young sir.
And you know what I'm finding? I just downloaded the Google keyboard today. You know Swipe? You know how they sort of put that on all the Android phones to sort of compensate for big screens? Well, it works a lot better on a small screen. Where you can hold it in one hand and just anything you want. You don't have to hold it in one hand and do this, which is what you have to do with the Nexus 6.
I don't know what is up with your Trump-esque baby hands, but I've never had a problem with Android phones. Besides.
In fact, I actually don't like Swipe. I don't like it. I like just going tick, 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 tick.
I didn't like, well, I mean, I do like doing that, but I didn't like Swipe when I had a Nexus 6 because you couldn't really swipe with one hand. It was too big. You had to, like, weirdly perch it on your pinky to do that.
Huh.
Realistically, you had to hold the phone with your other hand and swipe with the other one.
Well,
That's
I have
kinda
the
how I
Note
hold my
5,
phone
so
anyway.
it's so big, I have to go like this anyways.
Yeah.
You got big
But-
hands.
But you agree, Richter, that the only way you can really swipe is if you hold it in one hand and swipe with the other hand. So you can't use it one-handed.
Right,
So there's
but
no point.
I have a giant phone.
Oh,
I
thank God it's
had
fine.
a phone that was the same size.
But now it's shrunk with age.
It did. I have a little Trump phone now,
So,
and it's great.
I wonder.
I want to tell you that somebody are you trying to say something?
Sure, but you are super soft.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
real
Oh,
soft
sorry,
phone.
yes, I was mumbling to myself. Bad form, bad form. I was just saying I should go to Trump's Twitter account and see if it says posted from my iPhone.
Did you guys notice that his Twitter handle is real Donald Trump?
Yeah, a lot of famous people have that because somebody else
Right.
took the name first, and so they have to put the real in front
But
of
he
it.
has Donald
Well, yeah.
Trump also.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Maybe he just likes to be the real.
I guess he does.
So it's
He's
funny that
the
you mentioned
realist.
Twitter because I thought that the story that I just saw that I thought was really entertaining was the Trump tweet about after Obama endorsed Hillary, and Hillary just says delete your account, And
Delete
the
your
best,
account.
the best response though by anybody was from Anthony Weiner, the former rep who got knocked out because
Who could forget?
Yeah, who could forget
Anthony
because he was
Weiner.
posting dick pics named Anthony Weiner. But he tweeted after that came out, too late for some of us.
You see, I saw that tweet. I hadn't gotten far enough down in my Twitter feed to have read Hillary's tweet yet, so I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Too late for... What?
Anthony Weiner, just don't stop being you. You are a
right?
gem.
Other than his, dick pics, I thought he was a fantastic politician.
Yeah, I actually really liked him before he decided to be a complete douche.
Yeah, he's not the worst politician.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
also,
he
he
just
got
was
a
sending
lot done.
pictures.
Yeah, look at old Joe Biden
Great photographer.
videos as well. Joe Biden gets on the floor of the House and he lets the Republicans have it. He speaks his mind, and I love that.
He polishes that Camaro. But so it's been a little bit crazy in the political realm these days.
I mean, one of the things I've been noticing is that the media has been taking Trump to task a lot more recently and not just letting go.
Finally.
No, yeah, right.
It's
that wasn't really the problem. They were always except for the very beginning where they were just sort of like, what's this guy? The fuck is he talking about? But ever since the very beginning, and he started gaining momentum, they were going after him. It was just the fact that
not with teeth.
No, they were. What's her name? What was her
Megyn Kelly?
Megyn Kelly. Yes, Megyn Kelly was after Trump. Not really anything crazy, just sort of like, hey, your numbers don't add up, or that's a stupid idea because, I've thought about it for more than 3 seconds and it's stupid.
But then he'd fire back and they'd all just cower.
But that's
okay.
That is the major difference between the general election and a primary. So in a primary, the other opponents don't want to attack each other because it's mutual suicide. Like, by bringing somebody down, they're also going to kill their chance. And that's why you saw a lot of candidates right before they dropped out, they would launch their heaviest salvo against Trump and then get out after softballing them for months. And that in the general election, there isn't that concept. You're in a race with two people. You're not one person attacking the other is not going to make it so no one's going to vote for either person, most likely, because you're going to be well, there's too much to lose. And on top of that, the thing that Trump actually did this time, which was attack a judge on his race.
Oh man.
And I mean his ethnicity, and he was born in the United States. Yeah, and then follow up
to say that a woman judge might have to recuse herself too.
Or a Muslim. But the point of that is that actually attacks a very important principle in the conservative movement. And that is why it has actually been an effective attack, because what it attacks is the rule of law, which conservatives have always been, hard on law, but the only way they can be that way is if they believe in a neutral or unbiased judicial system. And as soon as
the fact that a judge can put their own differences and their own beliefs aside and adhere to the rule of law.
Yeah, and that is actually a very big conservative principle. That's why you'll see that that generally conservatives don't back movements where we find that there's a lot of racism or bias in the judicial system. Right. But when Trump brings that up, he is directly countering the argument that they have been trying to make for years, which undermines like a ton of their policy. I mean, it's a principle. So,
right. I mean, it's the reason why conservatives can look at some of the statements of, for example, the late Supreme Court Judge Anthony Scalia and say, yes, he is not going on his own personal convictions. He's going on the interpretation of the law.
Exactly.
So, I mean, the fact that he's going after judges, or rather the specific judge, and then the concept of neutrality in judging in general, is one of the things I'm so glad the media is hammering him about.
Yeah, it's a sin that he didn't just get constantly hammered by everybody on, saying that he doesn't want any Muslims to come into the country, or build a giant wall between Mexico and the United States for fun.
Here's the thing, though. It's not that he was never, like, the media challenged him all the time on his batshit stupid things he'd say. And he would, stand behind the batshit stupid things he said. Where it got weird in the primary is that despite saying batshit crazy stupid things, his poll numbers either didn't slip or got stronger. Is that still the case?
Well, that's because it's a Republican primary.
But has attacking a judge hurt his poll numbers?
Yes. I mean, it's a little early to it's early to say that, but just looking at the polls that have been taken since those comments came out, they have dramatically shifted.
Have we finally scratched the Teflon? Is the pan useless?
We'll see what Romney pulls together, right?
What Romney pulls together?
Hey, what's his plan?
Well, he's trying. I mean,
is he actually going to try and come up against Trump as like a last minute, injection from the party establishment?
Look at the top story currently on the Huffington Post. Mitt Romney on attack. Trump incites trickle-down racism. GOP leaders meeting at Romney retreat with election in jeopardy. Angry Republicans plot delegate revolt. McConnell won't rule out withdrawing
this from
insiders scramble to rein in Trump. I mean, this is obviously the liberal bastion of liberal websites, but
it's HuffPo. Come on.
Yeah, but the point is,
the Huffington Post.
I like half of the Huffington Post. A lot of it's clickbait bullshit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wait, I wonder how Huffington Post looks like if I turn off ad blocker.
Oh God, why would you do that?
Kind of curious. Reload.
Don't do it.
I gotta do it, man. I gotta.
You've been warned.
It's not as bad. It's not terrible. It's still pretty much the same. Oh well.
So, Victor, the other
Yes.
really big event other than Twitter wars.
Oh yeah.
Was there seemed to be an end to a primary, which had a state that one of us lives in. Who voted?
Sure, because I'm pretty sure the primary was fucking over about a month ago.
Well, okay. Hey, I'm trying to be nice.
Someone wouldn't acknowledge that.
So California had its primary 3 days ago, June 7th, in which I voted, and the poll I went to, which, mind you, I'm not like in downtown LA or something like that, but the poll station I went to was, there was a queue, like there was like 3 or 4 people queued up at any given moment, but it was overwhelmingly Democrat. Like there was like one guy I saw while I was standing there, because I stood there for like maybe a half hour to keep an eye on things. I wasn't like conducting exit polls or anything, but for like there was like maybe 1 or 2 people voting maybe independent, which I'm lumping not just the independent party, but any third party altogether. But it was pretty much all Democrat for like the hour I was standing there.
You are living in L.A.
You mean no one
I
showed up
realize,
for the Republican
but
primary
the
that was over?
But the LA Times actually put together a map based on district stuff.
And what your area is like the most Republican area of LA with like 10%. It's like, oh my God, they have like 10% registered Republicans. It's the most Republican area of LA.
No, mine is decidedly blue, a blue area, but I'm trying to find this map here.
Does LA have any precincts or whatever that vote 100% Democratic in the generals? That's a curious question. 'Cause Philadelphia actually has a few precincts that will vote 100% one way.
Let's see if I can find this map. Oh, here we go. Clinton or Sanders? Who did your LA thing vote for? No, I don't want that. I want like Republicans too. Damn it.
So why didn't you vote mail-in?
Who? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to say no. Because my polling station is like right next door to my house. So I can just like walk over there. Yeah, there's no real reason if it's that close to vote mail in because it's just right there. But my mom voted mail in. My dad also went to the polling station. My mom actually let my dad vote for her in the mail in ballot.
Oh.
So you can guess who her vote went to.
Actually, I'm not sure considering I don't know. Wait, was she voting in the Republican one?
Hang on, one more time.
Is your mom registered a Republican?
I think so. Yeah, she was going to vote for Trump. Anyways. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait.
But,
let me get
the
straight.
primaries.
That one Republican that you saw walk in, was that your dad?
It was not. He actually went in the wee hours. But there are Republicans who live around here, mostly because there are actually the Los Angeles is not homogenous in terms of like the neighborhoods. I mean, you can go like 2 streets one way and it'll be a very affluent neighborhood, and go 2 streets another way and you'll have like subsidized housing. So it's very mixed up like that. Predictably, it was it's pretty much always the affluent neighborhoods that vote for Republicans, but more recently, it was more recently, and I don't know why I was going to bring this up, but there was like an earthquake last night.
Yeah.
But it was the polling has been pretty. I mean, obviously, it's pretty heavily Democrat, but. You know what? I give up. I can't find that stupid map. Just trying to find it. But I don't know. What were the numbers for California? I can't remember what they were. California primary.
California results.
California.
Oh, I still have it open from
There it is.
the night. Hey.
I think Scott and I can probably
172
tell
delegates.
number.
Here it is. California. Delegates for Trump was 172, for Clinton 269, for Sanders 206.
No. Actually, it's now 338. Oh, is that super? Sorry, I'm thinking super delegates.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm counting the super delegates ahead of time. Sorry.
Oh.
Scott, they're not committed yet. How could you?
Oh, I'm pretty sure they're fucking committed, considering the resounding success so far of Sanders' flip the delegates plan.
So there's a good topic. So do you think it was out of line for the AP to declare the day before the primary that Hillary had clinched it?
The only
From a
person it
professional
hurt
standpoint, yes.
Yeah, I mean, should they have waited until the primary was done? Probably. But I look at AP as an example of good of how to do things right. So it's probably not. They're probably all right.
So if they start killing people, you'd be like, well, AP does it.
Yes, that's
It's always a
exactly.
lie.
You can I've been trying to
Exactly.
convince them to do it for years just to give me an excuse. But no, seriously. The thing is that what they should have done is they should have held it literally 24 hours. That's it.
Yeah.
Not
They
because of
actually-
the primary, but simply because of the primary result. Because after that primary, Sanders' victory was effectively mathematically impossible.
Right.
And you simply don't call the race until the race is finished, whether you're calling her the winner, the loser, or the fucking purple people eater. Doesn't matter. But you don't call the race
Yeah.
until it is either over or effectively over.
It's been
And
effectively
they really-
over since New York. I mean, wait,
know.
what?
No. They really should have, but they really should have waited until the primary was done.
Honestly, I think someone fucked up, and it was on auto post.
I'd actually
They just had it. They
That might
had
be
the
it.
date wrong, or it's like they just didn't look at the calendar right, and
Yeah.
shit went wrong.
Yeah, that really
Yeah,
might have
no.
been just it.
Knowing their CMS, that is not a hard mistake to make.
So. But I mean, Hillary got through, unsurprisingly, and he.
Yeah, the only person that
Nelson
hurt was
just-
Hillary.
Yeah. Nelson
and,
just
she
messaged.
was
He's like,
fine
"Oh, I
at
totally
the end.
missed the
So
show." Yeah.
That's okay, Nelson. We still love you.
We still love you, Nelson, bro. Come on in. Yeah. Yeah. We could chuck him in. Here we go.
what's going on? Nelson's joining.
Probably
They're
not.
watching
Nelson.
bootleg recordings of Hamilton. Anyway,
Yeah, there it is.
out of the meta.
Out of that, yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
this show never goes into the meta.
Yeah.
Who with what now?
There you go.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it just the problem is I just get so annoyed by my liberal friends who supported Bernie Sanders in his support,
Oh.
but cannot let it go and assume that everything is a conspiracy. I'm staring currently at a picture of uncounted ballots in Santa Clara County alone, pallets of uncounted ballots that are from just a photo. Paste.
Clearly, they're all for Bernie.
Yeah, well, that
Oh,
was the
yeah.
funny part.
Obviously.
That was the funny part. I mean, okay, so there's all these provisional ballots, right? Because people who accidentally registered, like the Democratic whatever party or some other third party, ended up not being able to necessarily vote. And also, if you move around a lot, you might not be registered in the right place, so people get the right provisional ballots. And in a state where you have a ton of voters, you get a ton of provisional ballots. And the problem is
I'm
they
sorry.
assume.
No. Can we stop right there? I'm sorry.
No, you're
If
not.
you are so concerned about whether or not your candidate is effectively represented, whether or not there's going to be all this stuff, if you care so much about a particular candidate, you have no excuse to not go ahead and register properly. There is a very clear and easy to use website put forth by the California government that you can check whether or not you are A, registered for the party you want to register for, and B, if you know where your polling place is. It is not hard. It takes all of 30 seconds to check this out and to fix this information if you need to. No, I'm sorry. I do not care about those people because they
Well,
had
wait,
all the
wait.
opportunity in the
Wait.
world.
Let's be clear for a second here.
Calm down, Victor.
Yeah, those ballots are not necessarily Bernie ballots. They're just ballots. And so
I don't
on a probability
care if they're
note, I
Bernie
know.
ballots or not. I'm just saying, if you're bitching that you didn't know your polling place, or that you weren't registered properly. For all the press that registration for voting has gotten over the past 6 months, you should have known. You should have fixed it if you really care that much.
Well, what if you thought everything was in order? Like, I don't check my registration every single time because I haven't moved.
The minute there was an article where people were complaining that they went to the polling station and they weren't properly registered, you should have gone and checked. I did. I know lots of people who did. If you really care that much about your presence in the democratic process, you should have checked.
Regardless.
Yeah, the greater point that we were trying to make.
How to piss off Victor with one word.
Procedure.
Okay, here's the thing. There is currently, give or take, about 2.6 million uncounted ballots. Let's assume for just one moment, that every single one of those fucking 2.6 million votes is for Bernie. Even though that's not true. Let's just assume.
Clearly.
Hillary would still win. She's that far ahead.
Well, she's not actually that far away ahead in California. If it was 2.5 million votes in California.
No, I'm talking.
Point is it's not 2 point.
Because they're hanging their hopes on California to win Bernie the primary.
Yeah, which is not. Yeah, there's not 2.5 million provisional ballots. There's probably, like, if at anything there is like 1 million, but she has somewhere around close to a 500,000 vote lead. And when they count more ballots, they end up coming in about the same, actually a higher percentage than what she won the state by. So, I mean, ironically, for some reason, a lot of the provisional ballots are by groups that tend to vote for Clinton in this election, and not the white, affluent Bernie Sanders
it turns out
supporters
the Bernie
who are
bros
voting.
did check their registration.
Yeah. The people who didn't are the people that are working 15 hours a day or whatever, and, are voting for Clinton.
Scott, are you stereotyping Bernie Sanders supporters and Clinton supporters?
No, I am stereotyping the Bernie and bust people, because the majority, not all, but a good amount of Bernie or busters are a bunch of young white dudes. And every time I look at somebody who says that they're a Bernie or buster, they are a young white dude.
There's nothing wrong in categorizing a demographic as it is.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we all know people who may or may not be Bernie or busters and may or may not be your regular straight white dude, fucking basically every polling methodology and every poll of that group has said that the Bernie or bust people are somewhere like in, I believe it's the high 80s, low 90s% region of white straight dudes.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I have a great quote to go with, and it comes from there was an article right after Hillary won became the presumptive nominee. There was this article about people saying, like, well, her historical nomination is not really is an area of disconcern amongst people, and the quote was this guy claims he's kind of a feminist. His name was Buck Johnson, 26, from New Jersey, and he called himself kind of a feminist. Said it felt historic when Obama became the first white president, but I think that African Americans.
I think you will find that President Obama is indeed black.
Yes, I think that African Americans have been persecuted a lot more. said Mr. Johnson, who is white. I like that it's just like the person it's like, who is white? Whereas I guess a woman president, it just seems, I don't know, women are 50% of the population.
Yeah. They're 50%
It's like
of the population. And yet,
wow, yeah, they're 50% of the population, and yet there has been no female president up until this point.
Every other president has not been a woman, miraculously.
Wow, crazy.
They've lost every single coin toss for 44 presidents.
I mean, my dad has always used Obama's half white ancestry against him, saying like, well, he's not really the first black president because he had a white mother, blah blah blah. And I feel like the people that are running around going like, well, Jill Stein has been the nominee for the Green Party, so she's really the first.
For parties no one cares about.
Well, until she endorsed Hillary Clinton, at which point her Facebook page and Twitter
No,
you turned into a sea of fucking filth.
You're talking about Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was honestly only half listening.
No, we're talking about the Green Party nominee Jill Stein, who I have seen many people point out. Well, Clinton is not actually the first female nominee for president. Jill Stein is. And then it's like, well, of a party that it gets less than 1% of the vote. Like, okay.
Of a party that actually has a shot in hell.
Yeah, and the point is Clinton herself says major party for a reason.
Yeah.
That's like saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger is the first Austrian nominee for fucking, I almost said Prime Minister, for President
Governor
of
of California.
United States. Well, yeah, of course he's the first Austrian nominee for President of the United States. Because Austrians aren't allowed to become President of the United States. It doesn't fucking matter.
Are you trying to say Green Party people are not allowed to become President of the United States?
Yes, they're not allowed.
Mathematically, they're not.
Nobody votes for them.
Mathematically, they have that.
And we look back at this day from November when Jill Stein becomes President of the United States, and we all kind of go like, well, I didn't see that coming.
Hey, look, man, as it stands, I'm foreign. If Trump becomes president, I'm already first up against the wall when the revolution comes, so I've got nothing to lose.
Well, you just have to stay in Australia. I'm sure he's
I
perfectly
wouldn't
fine.
leave Australia.
Yeah, until he nukes us into a desert and I have to go and find a giant fucking V8 to paint black and turn into a fucking maniac vehicle.
I thought Australia
Painting
was
it
a
black
desert
would
already.
be a terrible plan. You know how hot that thing would get without air conditioning?
Oh, I know exquisitely well how hot a black car gets in this country in the summer. Have you ever been literally burned by your steering wheel?
Yes.
I have been literally burned by metal trim in my car, but not my
yeah.
steering wheel.
I get burned by my freaking doorknob on my house.
Okay, that's a weird one.
It's in a greenhouse, a little door greenhouse. Those what the hell, storm doors.
So, what do you think the? Well, I mean, okay. Oh, what are you gonna say, Victor?
I was just gonna bring up because we were talking about the Bernie Bros and people saying that, oh, look at all these votes that haven't been counted for Bernie. I'd like to bring out the slightly more tame and yet more insidious variant of that the people that say Bernie needs to do the right thing and run as an independent.
Fortunately,
That's
I haven't
dangerous.
heard a lot of people say that. I mean, usually the people who say that are third-party types to begin with. Like they're like libertarians or Greens that are like, well, if Bernie would just run third party, that would really screw everything up. It's like, oh,
this
okay.
is the one. These are people that the people I've heard saying this are people that are like, well, yeah, he needs to do the right thing and run as a third party because I mean, in polls, he has a much better chance against Trump than Hillary, and naturally he'd win.
Any party that
What they don't seem
splits
to understand,
loses.
however, is that votes in this country is a zero-sum game. There's not
Yep.
magically going to be more votes for you to have.
There are never more votes.
Yeah, I get really I don't have a lot of time for arguments about how the Democratic Party will not increase voting rights. Like, making that argument just drives me nuts because there's only one party that wants to make it easier to vote, wants to make it easier for, I mean, while they sometimes on a local level hamper a third party, I mean, in general, they don't believe in limiting the people's ability to run. So, if you want a strong third party or a fourth party or a fifth party, your only hope right now is that the Democrats will get enough power to liberalize voting to the point where you'll actually get enough support. You'll be able to, actually form other parties. I mean, that California benefits from it. That's why you guys have that jungle primary that you just had a Senate race in, where you have now two Democrats. You now have two Democrats running in the general against each other.
Yep. It really is a jungle. I mean, the amount of people listed under all the senators and everything else, I was like, wait, there are more than a handful? There's actually a baker's dozen of candidates running here. But of course, Kamala something won.
Yeah, well,
For,
I mean, she didn't.
Senate?
I mean, she won the primary slot, but there'll be a general election where the first and second person go against each other, and it's not like she won 50%. So depends where the vote will coalesce. But
yeah.
I mean, your state, which leans strongly Democratic, will now have a Democratic representative regardless. It's just now you get to pick the flavor of that Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I still say that general primaries should be more like the libertarian primary.
No, yeah, where you get naked and...
Fucking weird shit going on all the time.
That is when they allow
man.
drinking at a convention.
That was a shit show. Goodness.
Did you see one dude getting booed for saying that you shouldn't sell heroin to 5-year-olds?
That was...
What the fuck?
What is happening in there?
Dude, I mean, can we really talk? I mean, the Republic. I mean, it was funny. I was talking about how the crazies. Well, it'd be not, people are like, oh man, we should have more the third party nominees. Well, I'm like, well, if the third party stopped putting forward cranks, maybe we'd actually get somewhere. And they were like, well, what about
Scott
the Republican
Adams.
Party? They're like, what about the Republican Party? And I was like, well, I would argue that there's really only one serious party at this point in time. I mean, when you have a debate in the Republican, when you have a Republican debate where Donald Trump has to argue for not letting people die in the street, and you have Cruz at that time was arguing that how are we going to pay to not have people die in our street, your party's probably pretty screwed.
I cannot wait until September when the first debate between Clinton and Trump happens.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
He's gonna get fucking steamrolled, and it's gonna be amazing.
Well, unless she picks up her game.
No,
She's
he is
gotta
going to
get-
he's going to get steamrolled. He is going to get steamrolled.
I-
Because
Go on.
what's up?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to tell a dumb joke anyway, so...
Look, I mean, she did that foreign policy speech, and you could just see a line of attack that she's drawing together, and he just has no way. I mean, you listen to his conversation with. I mean, I was listening to the interview he did with the editorial board of this one newspaper, and he is just fucking nuts. He doesn't understand the issues. He just kind of rolls off on a stream of consciousness on like things that aren't even related.
You can't run a national campaign on stream of consciousness. It's just.
Well, I mean, evidently he has no campaign management to speak of.
Well, yeah, but
that'll change soon.
That's gotten him to this point, and now he has to draw a line in the sand and differentiate it, not just pivot on any one issue at one time. People are going to remember things now.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to be different from Clinton. And she's going to adapt and change. And like, if he says one thing one time, she is going to come up with a counterpoint. And he is going to have to now adapt to this counterpoint. And she is going to start drawing...
think Clinton's going to push him onto the defensive?
Yeah, she is going to draw a circle quite neatly around him.
Yeah, but he's just going to be like, well, crooked. He's going to argue like my dad does, where when presented with a point that he can't really rebut, he's just going to go like, well, you let 4 people die in Benghazi. Or like, oh, you deleted 500 billion emails. He's just going to throw random numbers out there. And he's going to be like, oh, well, you caused your, good friend to kill himself. And defended some rapist. Like, he's just going to toss that stuff out. When they're going to be talking about... They're going to be talking about ISIS. They're going to be talking about, like, ISIS, or, like, they're going to be talking about, like, Middle East politics, and he's going to be like, well, you defended a rapist. Like, it's going to be, like, completely out there.
I would love Clinton to just have a slip at one point and turn around and say, well, you still have an imaginary friend.
Well, that'd be good. That'd be really good. You know what? I kind of want in an alternate reality machine to look into the future of a Trump presidency when he figures out, now that he's actually, say, the president, oh shit, I don't write the budget. I can't enact this tax plan. I can't build a wall by executive action. That isn't part of being president.
See, and that's actually...
Turns out there's no amount of name-calling that can make these 538 people do what I want them to do.
See, and now you're getting to the point...
I can't just cut trade relations with China because the Senate is going to be breathing down my neck.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason. You're touching on actually the point of why Paul Ryan still begrudgingly supports Donald Trump, because and this is a difficulty, and here's a great topic, Paul Ryan, who had been reluctant to endorse Donald Trump, but in the end did endorse him in a local newspaper in Wisconsin. His position is he's in a really difficult spot. I mean, you're like one of the top Republicans, and you have to, you have a cause and you want to be serious. Like, he has this anti-poverty initiative, and regardless of whether you think it's going to work, at least he has some sort of serious idea, right?
Right.
And the problem
he's trying.
Yeah, and the problem that he has is if he doesn't endorse Trump and Trump loses and there's like a huge wipeout, he might lose the House, he might lose, it's unlikely to lose the House, but he could, and the Senate, and he doesn't get anything he wants done. So he kind of has to tie his horse to Trump. The other problem he has, though, is if Trump gets too toxic, then the ideas that he is putting forward that he can get into Trump's campaign will also become toxic because they'll be associated with Trump. So at some point, he has to kind of make a political, calculus whether he wants to run for president in 2020 and whether he wants his ideas to forever be connected to Trump. And you're going to see a lot of the leaders sitting there. And if Trump really bottoms out, you're going to see people run away from them. And if it's before the convention, they'll do something like make the pledge delegates not have to be required to vote the way they were supposed to in the state. To try to change it up, and they'll sacrifice this election to win a longer game.
To keep Trump from happening.
Yeah, and I mean that's if it's really, really, really bad.
I mean,
if it looks really bad for them.
I don't think anything like that will happen before the convention, though.
I have to say this. I feel bad for the Republican Party. I feel actually really bad for them.
I feel bad for Paul Ryan because
they do. They do. I mean, they did make this bed, and they are definitely being forced to sleep in it. But that doesn't mean I don't feel bad for them.
No, I mean I agree. I feel bad for some of the serious. There are serious Republican politicians out there that are like actually interested in governing and actually interested in like getting stuff done and tend to want to work together and stuff like that. I feel bad for them, but it's funny, the guys who can do that are all the ex-presidents and presidential candidates who are all like, well, I'm not going to endorse. Has there ever? I don't even know if there's ever been a time where your party's ex-presidents have not endorsed the one who is, going to be the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party.
None of the Bushes have endorsed him. Reagan's son came out and said, yeah, my dad would not be behind this schmuck.
And it's important to note that that's not the liberal atheist Reagan's son. That is the conservative talk show host Reagan's son.
Right. Yeah.
And the only one who and Romney has actively been plotting against him. The only one.
It's been so fun to watch Romney this whole time.
The only one to endorse him has been Bob Dole, who I'm pretty sure might be checked out, kind of.
Literally the only thing I know about Bob Dole is a joke of him just going, Bob Dole.
Bob Dole, Bob Dole,
Bob Dole, Bob Dole, Bob Dole, Bob Dole.
And apparently he gave the lamest. He gave the lamest endorsement speech as well, where he said something like, "Well, I can't vote for George Washington, and I gotta support the party, so I endorse Donald Trump."
Donald Trump.
See, and that's the difference. Like, there's a whole bunch of people online who are like, "Well, Hillary Clinton, no one likes her," but you know what? You don't see the politicians, the other Democrats being like, "Well, I guess because for the good of the party, I have to
supporting Hillary Clinton." Supporting Hillary Clinton is not a stuck between a rock and a hard place decision for politicians.
So many people. Oh my God.
Well, and see, there's the one of the problems that I have, and why I sometimes think to myself, why am I attacking all these people who put these like really crappy memes up or like fake information? Why do I care? Because these people are usually, like I said before, like third-party people to begin with. They never really were involved. They probably weren't going to vote Democratic anyway, and they probably don't even exist in a swing state. So, like, they're not super important. But then I realized that when they post something, like, other people see it, and some people are gullible, and they believe this crap, and eventually it takes over and, takes over the conversation.
Back in March, some of my friends genuinely believed that Bernie could still win the popular vote. And I'm like, guys...
No. But the popular vote doesn't matter.
No, but I mean, like, if he could win. They believed he could win a majority of the pledged delegates, even if only just. Yeah.
All right. So let's take the last few minutes. Let's take the last like 5 or 6 minutes here, and take a moment to project out into the future. So September has come and gone. We've started out with some of the debates. It's getting to the point where we're looking at it. Let's assume that Trump does become the nominee, that the Republican Party decides that they're not going to try to pull a rabbit out of their hat here and finagle the bagel so that it's not Trump for somehow.
Not going to step a coup.
Right. Let's assume that it's Trump versus Hillary. Okay? First off, where do you guys think it's going to go in terms of
Money's in Hillary.
elections?
Having looked at polling results, not just for like who are you voting for, but like general favorability over time, general sentiment in states, the amount of people who just violently dislike Trump even within his own party, all sorts of shit like that. I'm pretty sure Hillary's going to take it, and by a pretty good margin too.
Okay. George?
I still am not sure because really it depends on, does Trump remain to be Teflon? And we according to ScoJo, we've seen a chink in the armor that his remarks are starting to catch up with him.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a great trend yet, and I want to wait until after the convention because that's either going to be it's either going to be fine and normal, and he's going to morph into this sort of normal political candidate who does normal political candidate things, or it is all going to burn in spectacular fashion as he can just not take
Where's the Republican convention held?
Oh my God, it's going to be in Cleveland, and there's no way Cleveland is going to do a deal.
Jason!
We need to Jason.
I think it's going to be
next to Jason. We need Jason there with his phone live streaming it. That's what we need.
No, right. I don't want Jason to be killed. He has kids to take care of.
I think it's going to be Hillary, but I don't think it's going to be by a tremendously huge margin. In the popular vote, maybe in electoral math, it'll be a landslide.
I think electorally, yeah, it'll be a landslide on that level. But yeah.
Okay. So Hillary. So since you voiced your opinion on it, ScoJo, that it's going to be a landslide.
Wait. But wait, I have a little bit more. Yes,
okay.
More. So
I wait bated breath.
I mean, it's hard to obviously to project out how November is going to be. It really will depend upon a lot, I think, on what Trump says and how toxic he becomes to the leadership, like we've been talking about. I think things are lining up to the way where it could be one of those elections like in the 90s for Bill Clinton, where a third-party person does pull like 18 to 20%, and as long as they pull from Trump, and that die-hard amount of people that will vote for Trump, regardless of whether he starts killing people in the street, are going to vote for him, and it'll really depend on the turnout, but it'll be another one where Clinton doesn't get 50% of the vote. But she may get all the electoral votes. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's like not a Perot, but even maybe, not that Gary Johnson is really a great politician, but he could pull enough percentages to make it look like both of them don't have 50%, and we'll be back in the Perot, Dole, Clinton, or the Bush, Clinton, Perot elections that were 42% of the vote wins. Yeah.
The thing that worries me about Trump is he is very good at branding, and he has very aggressive, like Crooked Hillary. He does not refer to Hillary Clinton on Twitter in any other way but Crooked Hillary.
But is that going to be in his favor or in his detriment in the long term?
I think that will be in his favor, because that sort of thing, when you can so consistently get a message like that out there, even when it's completely not true, it's like an earworm. It just gets in your brain and you start to say it, like I've repeated it here.
Well, I think it's in that case, I think it'll be effective short term. But I think long term, if he keeps, attacking justices for their race, or where their nationality, or where they are from, not even if they're born in the United States, like that will erode his effectiveness at branding. I think, for example, calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas is a misstep.
Oh boy!
I missed that, but
I saw that. I was just like, whoa.
I really don't. I think he's going to step over the line with some of the people. And I don't know who Hillary Clinton's picking for VP, but if he picks like a really crappy name for that person,
it's not going to be Elizabeth Warren.
It might be.
I cannot wait until some Latino. I cannot wait until some Latino congressman starts attacking Trump, and he's gonna slip and call them a wetback or something.
Oh my God.
I still want Hillary to nominate Bernie for VP, not because of any particular fondness for Bernie, because I know I've spent the entire campaign saying, yeah, I like Bernie, but I don't like his fans. It's really getting to the point where I'm not liking Bernie that much either, because the more I found out about him, the more of a fucking asshole and a bit of a scumbag he actually turns out to be.
He's a politician. They're all like that.
Precisely.
It's just, that's the way it goes.
No one is clean.
But I still want her to not pick him for VP, simply because I just want to see all of the Bernie or bust people's heads fucking explode.
That would be nice.
Because
scanners.
If they want to see Bernie succeed, their only option is to vote for Hillary, and that's fucking glorious.
That would be good. Getting back to the crooked Hillary thing for one last second, and that is, who is this sort of branding effective on? I think it's going to be effective on the core of the Republican Party that, while they don't like Trump, his branding of Hillary Clinton as evil is effective on them and will convince them to, hey, you might not like me, but I am better than her, and you should absolutely come out and vote for me.
Well, they don't even really have a choice at this point now, do they?
No, but they could just say, fuck it, I don't want to vote for Trump. I'm not supporting him. But I think those are the people that saying like crooked Hillary over and over again is going to be effective on. It's going to get in their brain. It's like, well, I can't let crooked Hillary be president.
That's like one of the reasons why when you were saying like what would you project things to be, the big question mark right now is what happens when Bernie Sanders concedes and endorses Clinton, and how much of a crusader Bernie Sanders is after the campaign's over. His campaign.
I hope he doesn't do anything stupid like try to run independent.
He's
or
not.
Stick it out
Look, he's not going to do.
He did have that meeting with President Obama the other day, which hopefully was Obama saying to him, "Look."
Now, let me defend Bernie Sanders for a second. When you're losing a campaign, it's going to be your worst moment. No matter anybody who runs for president has some sort of drive or motivation or some sort of idea that they should be the president of the United States. So when you're losing that battle, it is possibly the hardest, most difficult. I can't even imagine myself in that position, like how badly I would feel about the system, everybody. And what was it? It was Howard Dean had a great quote about this. Howard Dean was talking about when he was running for president and his campaign was falling apart. He got on the phone with Al Gore, and Al Gore was like, "Look, I know you're hurting, but it's not about you. It's about America." And he was like, yeah,
that's a really
I guess so.
Great quote.
I mean, he was like, "Oh man, it's not just it's the position. It's not you. It's you have to." There's something you got to be serious, and it's just hard. But it's hard to separate your ego from the country that you want to run at that time, and and when you run around saying that you're going to be part of this revolution that's going to turn all these people out, and they don't actually show up, that's also really crappy too.
Let's not diminish his accomplishments here. He got a lot of people to come out and vote for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he very solidly locked up 40% of the Democrats who came out and voted in the primary.
He really solidly
It's a
locked
shame
up.
it's not enough, but
I like the
I
idea.
know that it doesn't sound like a lot in a winner-take-all election, but a lot of people cast their vote for Bernie, and not a small percentage of those people are Bernie bros that we are making fun of.
Annoyed with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. A lot of our friends that we know voted for Bernie. Hey, wait, Victor, how did you vote?
Yeah, how did you vote?
I voted for Hillary because I'm a pragmatist.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of our.
I voted for Dean. Ah!
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our friends who were Bernie Sanders supporters are not Bernie or busters. So I mean, it's just they understand. So it's hard to you can't. Luckily, we don't have a friend that we can point out and be like.
Yeah, everyone I know who supported Bernie. The only people I know who are Bernie or busters are your friends on Facebook who are insane.
But see,
I have friends on Facebook who are that too.
The people on my Facebook who are Bernie or busters are third party. Are really people who generally voted third party, or they have an issue like fracking that they are like 0 or nothing. Like they cannot accept.
That's their pet issue.
Yeah, like they have an issue where you cannot get them, like, if you say, well, Trump is going to just make fracking everywhere, Clinton would make it so it would be restricted and controlled and taxed, and Bernie Sanders wants to get rid of it. If you can't have Bernie Sanders, you probably you don't want Trump to get elected. Like, come on.
It's the ability. It is quite frankly, it is the ability to accept a compromise, which is something that is sorely lacking among a lot of diehard Bernie supporters. Not just Bernie or busters, but a lot of them.
I know 2 Bernie or busters. One of which I'm pretty sure by the time that voting time in the general in her state comes around, she will most likely have flipped and will vote Hillary. The other has, at this point, a pretty legitimate reason, I think, for being a Bernie or buster, or at least a never Hillary person, simply because, she's
mom.
I'm not sure of the proper term for it, but she's a young Latin American woman. And she has serious concerns about Hillary's involvement in the whole Honduras thing. And that was a really fucking messy, murky business, and I can understand her concerns. And I don't know what she's going to do come the general as things roll out. She might overcome that, she might not, I don't know.
All right, gentlemen. Well, the clock is just about to run out on this episode. Before we close out, one last projection from you guys. Assuming Hillary wins, do you think Trump is going to run again? And if he does, will his opponent be Mitt Romney? Churba, go.
I have no fucking idea. Actually, to be honest, he might. He does have, for all you can say about his history, he definitely has a history of bouncing back from failure, if nothing else. So, I don't know, he might give it another crack.
George?
I don't know. I feel like at this point his ego is so massive, if he doesn't win, he's going to implode and suck in everything around him in about a 100-mile radius.
It'll be like Trump, final form, he becomes this amorphous blob, and it's like at the end of Akira. He just starts incorporating everything into him.
Flash, and then everything, his small hands, everything just gone.
My serious answer would be I think the Republican Party is going to change its primary system. I think it has pretty much been shown on 538 that if the Republicans had the Democratic primary system that was in place, that Trump would not have done as well early on, and it would have been a lot easier to stop him with a proportional vote, especially with 16 candidates in it. Because
no kidding,
you'd get like 10% of the delegates.
Yeah,
But,
that
I
winner take
figure
all thing really killed them, didn't it?
yeah, they're going to change their primary system. I think the Democrats are going to change their primary system radically too. But the Republicans are going to definitely change their primary system to make sure that they don't have this situation come up again. Because if they get burned super bad, they are I mean, that's going to change in a heartbeat.
I don't think the
What
Democrats
about-
are going to change their system because
What
their
a-
system worked.
What of
Uh,
Mitt Romney's prospects?
I don't think Mitt Romney wants to run again. I don't think he really wanted to run to. I don't think he wants to run for president again.
You think
I
this is
think
just
if he,
him being really fed up?
Yeah.
I think if he did run, then it would be another case of Jeb Bush, where the person who wants Jeb Bush to be president the least is Jeb Bush.
Yeah. I think you have a chance of like somebody like Rubio trying to run again, or Cruz. I think Cruz is the guy that you got to watch out for if you're looking for like the next Trump type candidate.
Cruz is
I mean,
pure evil.
Cruz and Christie would have been those two are the biggest losers in the Trump phenomenon. Like Christie was supposed to be the rude, like outspoken, like candidate running, and he just got overshadowed really badly. And Cruz was supposed to be like the outsider, not part of the elite, not part of anything. Everybody hates him, and Trump just ate them both up. And now Christie gets to stand behind Trump and be like, why did I do this? Why did I do this?
All right, well, thank you guys for an incredibly interesting and insightful show. We don't usually go whole hog on politics, but this was well needed in order to catch up on the events.
As soon as you said whole hog, I had flashbacks to Overwatch.
I still need to get that game.
You
It's
really
so
do need to
good.
get that game. It's so
Maybe I'll buy it
good.
right now.
Like,
So many
buy
things
it.
to do. I have no
Some
time
of
to
the-
play games.
some of the most fun things in that game has just been like Katamariing up as many FRC people as we can and just fucking
Yup.
going around and rolling pubs. Or alternatively getting rolled by pubs.
I think for the most part we've rolled up on people more than we've been rolled.
Oh, yes.
We're good. We're good. Alrighty then. If you have Overwatch, you may have the unfortunate thing of us rolling you over. But if you just want to continue listening to the podcasts, you will hear us next
What the
time
fuck is wrong
on
with you?
Acceptable Vices. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.